There's no grease whatsoever in there. So we have to fill this one up pretty good. Same here. Okay, so let's go ahead and take this off here. This is like a spacer. And I believe this is a 2-speed. Yep, 2-speed. 2-speed transmission. Let's take her out. See if we could grease all that up in there. Okay, look at that, no grease whatsoever. And what I like to do is, let me show you. I have here some Team Associate or a factory team 5,000 weight for, but it's for diff. It's diff fluid. So I'll just pour some in here, just a little, just to have it lubed up every time it's running if the grease is not working. So I like to just not fill her up, but put some in there. That way it has some lubrication all the time. So let's go ahead and lube these up. Like I said, I use the marine grease, the boat, trailer, and marine equipment marine grease. So and all you have to do is just turn it. And there she goes. She fell into place. And you can just put your finger here. Make sure it has enough grease. Wipe off the excess. And then we can use the excess for like another gear here. Okay. So that one's already done. Now let's try and stick our finger in there, and then we can go ahead and twist it. So let's just put a good amount of grease, because I don't want to take this apart. Let's see, less grease. Okay, it's gonna be messy, but that's part of the hobby. We'll get messy and greasy. Okay, so we want to put grease in there. Okay, and this front gear here. Then some of that grease we could just push it down to the main gear down there. Okay, and there we have it. There we go. Okay. So then since this is going to go up and down, sideways, because the transmission moves with the truck, so it'll go sideways, up and down, upside down if you crash. That diff fluid at the bottom is going to keep everything lubed no matter how it moves. So we just want to put a good amount just to fill up that bottom, like a real transmission. You just fill up this bottom here. There we go. Look at that. That's enough. That's enough right there. We don't need to, you know, let me just put a tiny bit more. And again, this is just 5,000 weight. It's used for my race cars. Look at how smooth that runs. Okay, so let's go ahead and put this back together. Remember, like I said, you want to make sure you know the orientation. And then whatever excess grease escapes through the side, just wipe it down. Make it look nice. Okay, we'll go ahead and wipe it down once we tighten it up. But let's go ahead and drop this one in. Okay, and then drop this part in. It's gonna be tough at first if you haven't built one of these before. Just take it easy. You know, don't try to over tighten or push too much, because if not, you'll knock off one of those tooth. It works if you move the gears as you're pushing in, because as you push in, you can move those gears and everything will cinch in and it'll tighten up pretty good. So, like in the previous transfer case removal, the exact same thing. You want to use cross method to put this thing back together again. So let's go ahead and put it together, and then we'll see where we're at. There you have it. That sounds better. Smoother. It's not rubbing metal against metal or plastic against plastic. It has some lubrication now. I mean, it'll burn up as the gears rub, but it'll keep it cool and lubricated. Let's go ahead and wipe off that excess. I do not recommend any thread lock here, because the minute you put thread lock and you break a gear, and if you put too much thread lock, you're gonna lock up this bolt and it's gonna take forever to try and pry it open. So I'd say just tighten them down pretty good. This is not gonna be vibrating or spinning, it's just holding on the case. The parts that are spinning are actually inside, so I don't think it should come apart. I haven't had any problems with any transmissions in the past, metal or plastic, coming apart on me because of the vibration. I mean, I've used on my Wraith, I had a Tekin 4.5 SCX, and never lost a bolt. So I'm just, if it's preference, if it's your preference, you could go ahead and do that. I mean, if you think your transmission will come loose because you didn't thread lock those, go ahead and do it. But my preference, I don't do it in case I have to go in and change a gear. So let's go ahead and find those two parts. Here they go, part 1 and part 2. And there's the orientation you want to install your parts. Okay, so it's going to ask for this little angle, and then on the other side it's going to ask for this one. So it wants you to find those 8mm button heads. And here we have M3 8mm. It just asks for 2. Let's go ahead and just pick out 2. And for the other one, it wants 8mm countersunk. 8mm countersunk. Okay, so for this this side on here, it just pretty much shows you the picture. Of course, this slanted side is going to go towards the rear of the transmission. So let me show you that. Slanted side is going to go towards the rear. And these, you want to thread lock them, because this is going to vibrate. The transmission is going to vibrate. So you don't want that that coming loose on the trails. So let's go ahead and do that. And then let's just push it through here. And then let's put it on the transmission. Let's just set it on there till we have the other one. Okay. And that one did not look like a 8mm. I pulled them both out from the same. Okay. So let's go ahead and push this one through. Oh. Okay. Give it a good tight there. that's what you're looking at right now. Let's fix you guys here. Okay, so for the opposite side, okay, we're just doing it exactly like the diagram. Let me show you here. Let me just put you guys down here. We're doing exactly like the diagram says. So all we did was install this one and we spin it. Okay, so it's showing you that there's this little hole down here. You guys can see it on the diagram. It'll actually show you just like this, and then your two countersunks go right there. So that's the orientation we're gonna use. Let's go ahead and install. Let's put some thread locker there. Let's install it. Oh, that feels like a rough fit. Okay, so let's put some thread locker again. Put in the second one. Another rough fit. Are you sure these go in here? Yeah, they go in there. They just, listen to this. Listen to it. Like a rough fit. Like they don't belong there. That's what the kit says to do. Okay, so that's what it looks like on this side. So those are your motor mounts pretty much, or your transmission mounts. So let's go into step 21. And it says attach leaf spring to front and rear axle. Okay, so here we have our rear axle. Okay, then the front axle. Okay, so you're gonna look in bag D, and you're gonna have your soft steel leaf springs. But I didn't want to stick to the black, so I went and got the RC4 wheel drive super soft flex leaf spring, and they're red in color. So it wants us to attach it to the axles. Okay, there you go. Look at that. That is springy. Okay, and there's 4 of them, and it wants us to find the button heads, 6mm button heads. So 6mm button head. Okay, and that's what you're going to use to attach them to the to your axles. Okay, so let me grab 2, 4, 6, 8 of them. We need 8. I think that's all that's in there. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're left with 2. Okay, these 2 are in case. So let's go ahead and install the axles. I'm sorry, the leaf springs.